As Don mentioned earlier, leading pro-democracy figures in Hong Kong have been barred from running in the city's upcoming elections. It's a major blow for the Democrats, who were hoping to win a majority in the legislature. Those banned include activist Joshua Wong and 4 members of the Civic Party. China has praised the disqualifications, accusing the candidates of trying to subvert state power. While the polls are scheduled to take place in September, it's widely expected they will be postponed because of the COVID-19 situation. Roland Lim has more.
In a statement, the Hong Kong government said that it agreed with and supported the decision to invalidate the 12 nominees, and that it doesn't rule out the possibility of more nominations being invalidated. We know of at least 16 opposition hopefuls that have received inquiries from their returning officers. Now, the government says that the decisions of the returning officers were in strict accordance with the basic law, and that it was handled in an open, honest and fair manner, and that there was no question of any political censorship or restrictions of the right of the people to stand for elections. Unlike in the past, though, the new national security law now stipulates that candidates standing for elections shall, quote, sign a declaration or take an oath, unquote, to show their allegiance. Now, on top of this, the 12 disqualified received inquiries from their election vetting officers. Now, questions centered around separatism. Some were asked about their trips to the US last year to lobby for sanctions against Hong Kong, as well as their political stance in general. Civic Party's Alvin Yeung, Dennis Kwok, Kwok Kaki and Tat-hung were asked whether they plan to continue to ask the US or other countries for sanctions on Hong Kong, which all 4 replied no. Alvin Yeung and Dennis Kwok were asked whether their earlier visit to the US to lobby for the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act, which was passed last year, remember that allows the US to impose economic and diplomatic sanctions against Hong Kong and its officials deemed to have undermined the high degree of autonomy that the city enjoys from the mainland. The 4 lawmakers were also questioned about their promises to try to veto the government's budget and bills in future. Now, all 4 noted that the function and powers of lawmakers were clearly laid out in the basic law and that they were only advocating the proper exercising of those powers. Former Demosisto leader Joshua Wong accused his returning officer of selectively citing his comments and statements, and that clearly wrongly interpreting his personal ideologies. He said that vetting a hopeful's political stance to decide his or her candidacy is against the principles of a fair and democratic election. Another localist, Ventus Lau, told his returning officer that the protests that he organized in the past were approved by the police, and that the demonstrations did show that he was encouraging foreign countries to interfere in Hong Kong affairs. Lau also denied that he still advocates Hong Kong independence and said that when he previously spoke of building the ideal country, he meant that he wanted Hong Kong and the mainland to be better places. Remember, during the last LegCo election in 2016, 6 localists or independent hopefuls were also barred from running.